Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Revolutionize the Stage podcast presented to you by VenewLive. My name's Emily Heidel, and we have a very special fashion guest with us today, Paul Jeong. Yay! Wow! Thank you for coming. I have to say, actually, before I have to say whatever I have to say, can you introduce yourself for people who are not aware of you?
Thank you, Emily. I'm Paul. I've been in and out of fashion industry for the last couple of years.
Okay.
I currently work at this company called altm Group, and I guess we'll dig into a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
In this interview.
Yeah, and so in doing some research on Paul, first of all, we were also introduced through a mutual friend / coworker for some work you've been doing lately with BM of Card, which we can talk about later. But as I was researching you, I found out that you are one of Harper Bazaar's top 7 street photographers. Would you say that you are such as well?
I'm very thankful for them putting me on the top 7. I definitely would place other people on, in front of me.
Very humble.
I mean, it's they paved the way, and maybe it would have been a timing thing, but Tommy, Adam, Tyler, Phil, Soren, everyone.
Soren
Yepsen.
Oh,
he
okay.
I think he was in maybe the list as well, but yeah.
Okay.
Just list a few. Yeah.
Before we started this, Paul was like, I'll be honest, there are much more qualified people. And I'm like, well, I don't know if Harper Bazaar is featuring just anybody these days, But I digress. As I saw that you were like one of the top 7 street photographers, I was like, I have to try to dress as if I am in streetwear today. So, I'm kidding. I was going to say, how did I do?
10 out of 10.
Oh, thank you.
10 out of 10.
Oh, thank you very much. Do you normally dress like, you're not like, this isn't streetwear attire, right?
No. For me, I focus on function.
Okay.
And I usually just keep a few pieces that I really wear often, all the time. But even fashion-wise, Korea is so fashionable. So many more people who are more, put together in terms of fashion than I am.
This is very put together.
No.
It is. And also there's like a little pop of like the blue, and I don't know, it works very well together.
Thank you so much.
But you said, so function meaning like, you can comment. Okay. Meaning like it does what it needs to do.
Yeah. So typically if you saw me, in Paris or something, I would be wearing something like with Gore-Tex, something so that
Gore-Tex?
I could do, so like outerwear. So that I could, a lot of times we have to do our jobs outside, and so functional as in like something that could actually enable us to, do our job properly, instead of, if you're wearing something nice, if it's raining, it's snowing,
I see. Okay, so you wear it okay, got it. And now also in introducing yourself, you have done photography for most of your career.
Actually, like maybe 2.5 years.
2.5 years?
Yeah. It actually, I started 2018, the summer or spring summer. Before that, I was in project management for an American company. So. Okay.
And then now you just kind of started to transition into branding, PR?
Exactly. We do branding, we do PR, handle communications, but also we manage some artists and represent them.
Okay, I see. So before we get into that, ALTM group, it's not altm, ALTM?
Yeah, ALTM.
You're like, altm, what the heck?
No, many people are like, is that altm or is it ALTM?
Yeah.
ALTM.
Okay, got it. All right, we'll get into that a little later. But first, how did you get into fashion photography?
So actually just a German and a Swiss friend who's visiting for Seoul Fashion Week. They invited me out just to hang out for one of the days during, I think April or March, when they had the Fashion Week at DDP.
Okay. What year was this?
2018.
Okay.
And then I wasn't very happy with work, and so we just started this conversation, and all in all, I ended up quitting my jobs 2 weeks later.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those, And,
wow.
And then just I went off.
Wow.
So Yeah, and then I just went to Georgia. That was my first country that I went to.
Okay.
Just a few weeks after for their fashion week, and then from then it
What?
started. Yeah.
Wait, well,
Georgia, the country.
the country,
The
right,
country,
right.
country.
But still, like, you're two friends invite you, and you're like, "Hey, I'm chilling." Quit your job 2 weeks later, and then a few weeks later, you're at another fashion week.
Yeah, so they have one. They usually had like one or two around last week of April or May. And so after I quit my job, just got my stuff together and then on my way.
But how did you like get a portfolio? Like how?
I didn't really have a portfolio.
What? What were you doing at Georgia? In Georgia, like what were you doing?
I had a plan. I had a approach that I kind of put together, like a strategy, I suppose. And then, I just had a few pictures that I took with my Swiss and German friends. And then it was enough to land my first gig. And then, that was it.
Wow. Okay. So, that's pretty. Wow. Okay. First of all, are you a strategic person?
Very.
Very strategic. I see. Particular?
I don't know. I mean, depends. I mean, I like to take risks when I can, but I like to.
Okay. Why Georgia's Fashion Week?
So, I think when people think about fashion, people usually think about New York, London, Milan, Paris, and so of course it's really important. But the world's developing, and one of the key fashion weeks or areas that I wanted to explore, but also was interested in, was Tbilisi, the Georgian fashion. So
really?
Yeah, they have some incredible designers that dress the likes of Kim Kardashian, Bella Hadid. The list goes on, but kind of a hidden gem. And so and I was due for vacation, working for the company for so long. So just those two things together, and this and that. And
wow, the timing. So what was your first gig?
I covered, I think, the Tbilisi Fashion Week for Highsnob.
Okay.
I'm very thankful for them.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Is it like a high fashion? Is that a high fashion brand?
I think they're an important outlet and figure in fashion right now. I think they're doing things a little bit differently, and they have been. And they do like news. They do drops. I think they even have their own like e-commerce and stuff. So,
okay. So before going into that fashion world or into that fashion week, what were your thoughts or the stereotypes that you expected into in going in?
I think like most people, I think the barrier to entry, I mean, is I thought it'd be a strong, like too high for me to climb, and I thought people would be like total snobs and
right.
But fortunately, like from the very first time that I started working and meeting people, I was introduced to a different side of fashion that was, I suppose, more accommodating, but also like just a real good sense of community in that sense.
I see. How so? Like, how was it a different side?
In terms of like what I expected?
Yeah.
Are we allowed to cuss on this?
Yeah. Go ahead, yeah.
I thought they'd be straight up assholes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm sure there are people who are a bit more opinionated or, have a stronger stance, but they were just much more nice and willing to take me under and,
that's good.
Show me around and help me with this process. So very different side than the whole cold cutting, B2B type of,
Yeah, that's what it feels, or from the outside looking in, it looks like just so cutthroat. I mean, I'm sure it is very cutthroat, but like it looks very cutthroat and like you just have, it's like horrific. Not horrific, I should say, but like pretty tough to like, deal with. So from there, you started just like freelancing back to back to back and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so typically I think people revolve around the two seasons, so spring, summer, and fall, winter, or autumn, winter. But I started going to all the developing markets in addition to those four.
Okay.
And so I guess I was more, I don't want to say committed, but I was just more interested in, growing through these developing markets as well. And so I think that's part of the reason why I was able to kind of climb a little bit quicker. Developing
markets like where?
I went to Almaty, Kazakhstan, Copenhagen, Oslo, Stockholm, Shanghai. The rest I forget. But yeah.
You've been everywhere.
Yeah, I've been around.
So in the last, so that all started like 3 years ago. So like in those 3 years, you've traveled so I mean, of course, sans COVID, so like pretty much 2.5 years or a year and a half, you were just going.
Yeah, just I think there were me and a few other guys. We were like traveling like upwards of 300 plus days out of the year.
Wow.
Just on the road. So yeah, I'm currently based out of Seoul, but
right.
I was just never home.
Wow. Oh my God. So what was that like going at you come back to sometimes I mean maybe like let's say you have to be in I don't know Kazakhstan one day, but then the next you need to be in like the next week you need to be in Shanghai. Would you go back to Seoul and then or would you just go straight and just like okay.
We got really used to packing well and
functionality.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, keeping it all small and compact. Wow, that's so cool. Did you ever think that you would ever be at this point ever in your life?
To be honest, I mean, no, actually. I never thought, I mean, I always wanted to go to Europe and always wanted to travel, but I just, growing up, I just never had, I grew up in a set setting that, allowed me to think maybe this would not be possible, but I realized, if you put your mind to it and, through these experiences, it made me very thankful that I was able to travel to all these countries.
Yeah. So you're from Portland, Oregon. What is the fashion scene like there?
Very functional.
Oh, okay.
Very hipster, very functional.
Oh, hipster. Is it kind of like, because honestly, when I think of that northwestern part of the country, I think of Seattle, and I think it's like very like eclectic, and I've heard Portland's very like clean and new and that kind of thing. Yeah,
and very set on sustainability, and I suppose, just the focus is sometimes on different things, but it's like a very temperate, like rainy temperature, just the Northwest in general. So we grew up wearing like Columbia or like North Face,
Patagonia.
Arc'teryx. Exactly.
I see. Do you miss that?
All the time.
Okay.
All the time.
Would you ever move back there?
I think I want to. It's more of a 40, 50 plus type of conversation, I think.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I think Asia and Europe is like a young person's game, So I just want to go as long as possible and explore.
Yeah. So, like I said, one thing that the reason why we were kind of like connected was, and, we are an online concert company, so there has to be a little music involved in the combo. You did a lot of street photography, freelance photography, up until, what was it, this year, with altm Group. You started that. First of all, can you describe or introduce what is altm Group?
So, to be honest, it's a little bit hard for us to just pinpoint one thing. We do a little bit of everything, but we represent both celebrities and brands on both sides.
Okay.
We work to kind of create collaborations, projects, PR, branding for individuals and whatnot. So that's kind of what we do for now. But
you're one of the co-founders, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How many co-founders are there?
Just 2.
Oh, so okay.
Shout out to Isaac,
Oh, nice. Oh, wow. Okay, so what is the meaning behind the name ALTM?
Actually, altm is probably pretty close. I think we were looking for like an alternate method, to how this type of situations or projects were being approached across waters, like between cultures. And so that's kind of, I think, what we started off with.
Okay.
And then landed on LTM.
Oh, I see. Alternate method. Okay. So how is it an alternate? Well, you said like between cultures and that kind of thing.
I think our company is a little bit different because just off the start, my partner or co-founder is in China. I'm based here, and then we just recruited another person. But I think we both are Korean American, so we kind of come from a Western background, and then we both have put in 5+ years. Him, I think, more like 10+ in Asia. So we feel like either the 100% approach coming from Asia to the West, or vice versa. I think we can be a good bridge for that, like the transition.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. Your first sort of celebrity was or is BM, right? Or publicly BM. If you guys aren't familiar, BM is I guess I don't know. Is he like K-pop idol / like rapper?
It's he's part of an idol group called Card.
Card, right?
But I guess they were a bit controversial in the sense that there were 2 boys and 2 girls.
Yeah.
Which is kind of usually it doesn't happen in K-pop, but and then he's a hip hop artist, like solo artist. So
exactly, yes. Also love his hosting abilities on when he was hosting on Get Real Dive Studios. I always find a way to shout out Dive Studios here. But so, and I think it was very interesting to, from the outside looking in, seeing that he was like suddenly going. I remember he posted something like he was going to New York, Paris, and somewhere Milan, and then somewhere else, LA, I think it was. And it was like, oh, what's like, and it was clear it was something fashion related, but, and then when people kind of saw it, I remember just people being like, whoa, like he's like modeling, like, and stuff like that. And you were very much responsible for, or, you know, making that happen in different ways. Okay, so what was that experience like pitching someone like BM, you know, 6'2", like pretty built guy, like different from slim model? What was that experience like?
Just from the inception of our conversation with BM and just working together from ALTM, BM is quite different from all the other, I suppose, idols. Just because, I mean, he's Korean American, and then the way he's built and just his aesthetics is quite different, right? And so in terms of value, we really saw him as a hidden gem, and you know, he's so down to earth. We love working with him. So pitching was actually not that difficult.
Really? Okay.
I mean, it's not just us. I think for sure we had a good network. We had good people around us to be able to work this and, you know, push this quickly. But a lot easier than I thought. Yeah.
Is it like, and you mentioned how he's down to earth. Does that play into like how brands would receive him, or more of just like, and also to be quite honest too, brands really just look at like, okay, this person fits how we want our brand to look, like facial structure, like, you know, like that kind of thing?
A little bit of both. I think at the end of the day, you always want to work with people that you like, and you know, and BM is definitely one of those people. And in terms of aesthetics, I think I can't really talk about the collaborations too much, but in terms of the collaborations we did, they were a really good match for each other. So
so what is kind of what you, I guess, what is your goal for altm as time goes on and you guys grow?
So we're pushing China, and we're pushing developing markets in Asia. And so we really want to, as I've said, we really want to be spearheading, like, you know, this whole transition between the East and West. And I feel like Asia's due for a second wave, you know. And it's really exciting time to be here, and just rolling off the post-corona, you know. It's just, there's just a special energy here. So we really want to be part of that and showcase talent here, you know, Asian talent, and then introduce them to the rest of the world. Now,
with someone like, or, you know, let's say like an idol that's a part of a company that is kind of maybe notoriously, not saying BM's is, but known for being, you know, restrictive, or kind of just like following each of the idol's moves and kind of saying yes or no to a lot of them. Is it difficult? How do I say it? When you take on a new artist, do you want, or a new brand, or really artist, do you want the company to give you kind of like full creative control to be able to pitch how you see fit?
I think it's definitely easier if we have that, just because then we can really have an honest conversation with the artist, right? Or the group, I suppose, and just, you know, have a conversation about, you know, where they want to become, like, you know, end up at, what do they want to do? But there are cases definitely where, you know, to some extent, it is more difficult not having that, you know, flexibility. Because we do have to operate within, you know, the bumpers.
So you just said that you got back, or you were in quarantine. Did you just get back from LA?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long were you in LA?
I think just 5-6 days.
And then before that, were you in Paris?
Yes.
Okay. And before that, you were in Milan?
Yes.
Okay. So that was your first time traveling since all of COVID?
I was in Europe since, I think, August. Yeah, I was there for Copenhagen Fashion Week, and then BM ended up joining us.
I see.
Towards Milan, but yeah.
How do you balance? Okay, so first of all, like you said, like your clothes is about functionality and things like that. How do you balance like being in 7 different, or not time zones, but like working with a bunch of different time zones, seemingly a lot of different personalities and people and things to juggle? Like, how are you, like, as a person? Are you an organized person in that way?
To be honest, at the expense of my own energy, you know. But yeah, I try to stay as organized as possible. You know, with this line of work, I feel like with similar to others. We do have to get confirmations on a lot of different, ends.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are just some things I just can't control and we have to wait on. But I try my best to be as punctual as possible and push things.
Do you have a routine?
In terms of?
Just like daily life.
Coffee.
Coffee? Okay.
Always coffee. Coffee is, essential.
Okay.
I try to work out whenever I can.
Mm-hmm.
Go for a quick run, whichever. And then music. I need like music to keep me going.
Yeah. Do you find that you have to do a lot of networking, or is it just something natural to you?
It's hard, to be honest with you. It's harder for me to network.
Okay.
I used to think I was an extrovert, but now more than ever I think I'm an introvert.
Really?
And so it's
why is that?
just the way I approach things. And I don't know, just over the years I hear more and more often, hey, are you introverted, or like those questions and so whatnot. But we do have to network a lot, just almost every day. So.
Yeah. You mentioned how you approach things, as in like, I imagine you maybe have to be careful about.
All the time.
Okay.
All the time. I think we of course represent our company, but we also represent our artists and the brands. And so I have to be careful and mindful about that as well.
Were you mindful about it before altm? As mindful? As
much as I could be.
Okay.
But
when you're networking with people, and like you said, it's across brands or different artists and things like that. They sometimes, I feel, would want to know, like, okay, this is who you're working with, right? In somewhat a little bit of this capacity. Are you allowed to like divulge that kind of information, or are you still a little
case by case? I think it's case by case. I think the people that we do approach, or the organizations or brands, we're quite careful about how we approach it. Like we really do have like a strategy for 6 months, a year, people that we really we started out with, and so within those confines, we can make things work, definitely.
If someone were to come to you and say, okay, I want to be like, can you represent me at altm? Do you ask them their goal first, and then you create a strategy around that, or you say like, this is where I think we can get you?
We actually, it's funny you say that, because just 4 days ago we did get approached. But the number one thing I asked them is realistically what they want. Yeah. What values they hold themselves to, what their goals are, stuff like that, and we go from there.
I see.
But I'm quite honest and and transparent, so just like no bullshit,
That's good. That's good. That's what you need, no sugarcoating. Do you ever turn down clients?
Yeah.
I see. Interesting.
I think I think the industry here is quite saturated in some sense, but there's a lot of
in Korea or
just worldwide, but specifically in Korea, sometimes it could be saturated, and it's really important for us to be transparent with the people we work, and to just make sure they understand that, like, if this is something that's not going to work out, I just want to let them know up front, so that we don't waste each other's time, and just it's more respectful that way. I don't want to promise them anything that we can't deliver on.
Based on their goals that they give you?
Both ends. Just to have that conversation, and we respect everyone who reaches out to us, and who we reach out to, but at the end of the day, for us, it's like, I don't know, it's a very curated approach, and we just don't want to be wasting anyone's time.
I'm very tempted to ask so that people, I'm kidding. I was going to ask, like, what kind of clients do you turn down? You can't reveal that, though.
We've turned down an idol before, recently.
Really?
Yeah, I think people are curious about definitely the noise we're making.
Yeah.
It's a different approach, and we have been getting a bit of a fast track traction. So people are interested, but again, we really want to like give a personalized approach to these people that we work with, and like actually make an impact. And so I personally don't like to promise anything I can't deliver on. Yeah. And so that extends to people that even if they come from a good place and reach out to us, if I just have a hard time
seeing anything coming from it,
not to knock on them at all, but just between us, like, if we can't reach a certain understanding.
Yeah. What is your goal with altm?
Honestly,
ultimately,
I do really want to see the proper bridging between cultures here, and not just about the numbers. Some brands just care about the numbers. No, I think there's something really special going around, and in conjunction with globalization, I think we really do have a unique opportunity to showcase some talent or creatives here. Yeah. But also vice versa. Give them a platform, give them opportunities. That's what we're really keen on: connecting people, cultures.
So when you in shooting models, professional models, and compared to maybe shooting artists, I've seen you shot Jenny, IU, and people like that. Is there a difference between, or is there any coaching you have to do between like an artist who's used to kind of maybe shooting for music videos and that kind of thing rather than like high fashion?
I think it's also case by case.
Okay.
So in terms of the campaign BM just shot, our shoot with them, that whole day went by so quick. Like we were, I think, supposed to stay for like 10 hours. We finished in like 3 or 4.
Really?
Just because not to knock on anyone else. Yeah. Everyone there was super amazing, but BM just knew exactly what to do. Okay. He was very receptive to like what they were saying. To piggyback off that, sometimes when you shoot an artist, like on the music side, it's harder for them to like, kind of pose or...
Why is that?
Just not used to it. I think it's vice versa. Like, it's harder for you to expect models to be, know how to like take the stage, right? When you're performing.
I see.
So models are very used to, and they through experience, they understand like what looks good for them, what the photographer, the creative director, what the brand wants, as an end result. So in that sense, it's definitely easier. It's already refined. But for artists, it's very case by case. For IU, oh my goodness, 10 seconds.
Really?
She's so good. BM, amazing.
Yeah.
When I shot Jenny, I think she was a bit younger in Chanel, so I think that may have had to do with like a little bit of like, But for the most part, I think idols or talents in Korea are quite well, prepared for that.
That's so interesting because I would think like they have with their with each comeback they have their like jacket shooting or like their album photo shoots, and like they have to pose for that. So I would assume that like, oh, of course they're like good at
Sometimes though it just maybe it's like them getting caught off guard, or maybe it's the situation where it's like they know it's not for a music video, or like
like they know it's a different
context.
Context. Right. You're right. Okay, interesting. And so what makes somebody like able to be good?
I think it's both ways though. Sometimes it's the person directing. Sometimes it's the person who's receiving the directions, right? Sometimes like, for example, a photographer may not be able to give the best directions. Okay. So that disables basically the person who's receiving to pose or model properly, and vice versa.
So in would you say you're good at directing?
There are many better people in front of me. But I usually just stick to, I think, a very short list of commands, or like...
Okay, like what?
I think usually celebrities have a side they like.
Okay.
So we start from there.
You ask like which side do you prefer?
Because at the end of the day, let's say if we take a photo from the other side and they don't like it, we're just gonna have to do it again. Yeah. So it's just better to just work with them, have communicate with them real time, and just see what we can work with, and then just basic poses and stuff. If it gets too complicated, people can get frustrated, and this is also case by case by project. But typically, I try to keep it simple, sophisticated, structured.
What do you do when you're working with a subject that maybe isn't receiving, or is kind of like doesn't feel like being there today?
Communication.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it's this is a skill game, but it's also it's a person to person type of situation most of the time. So you have to be understanding. Sometimes you do have your bad days, and sometimes you're tired, stressed, etc. But at the end of the day, if you're willing to communicate, be understanding, and take the time to actually care for that person, usually 9 times out of 10, it's okay.
Do you ever get stressed out in these situations?
All the time.
All the time. Okay.
Oh my goodness. This last time I had to do a shoot in Paris, and the turnaround was like 1 hour, and it just was not realistic.
What?
Yeah, and yeah, it was like they were blowing up my messenger, like, you know, da-da-da, da-da-da, you know. So it's like
God.
the pace is definitely case by case also, but that was very stressful.
Really? Yeah. Oh my God, did you get it done?
Of course.
You're like, I was stressed fuck out, but I did get it done.
You have to deliver.
Wow.
If you're prepared, even if you're stressed, you can create something magical there and, you know, deliver something that the client is happy with.
Hello, everybody. This is Emily. If you've reached this part of the interview, that means you're at the end of part 1. So you can check back for part 2 next week. In the meantime, make sure to keep up with everything Revolutionize the Stage on our Instagram and Twitter at RevTheStagePod. Thank you for listening. See you next week. Bye-bye.